What is up, everybody? Welcome into this episode of It's Called Football. We didn't have an episode last week. Jackson and I were both very busy, so did not have the time to get to it, but we're back. And a lot of action to talk about. This weekend's matches coming up aren't the most exciting, so we won't spend a ton of time, but we do have the EFL Cup Final between Liverpool and Chelsea we'll touch on, as well as last week's results, plus some Champions League and a little bit of news here and there. So get ready for a fun-filled episode. But before we get into all the football talk, Jackson, how are you doing on this Friday afternoon?
Doing all right. I am alive. I feel like I haven't done a lot of stuff in the last 2 weeks, but I am alive. So excited to get back to doing this.
Oh, yeah, that's all we can ask for. It's always fun talking Premier League, so kind of hop into it. And last week we had a few matches, all matches over the weekend. We had a 10-match slate. Then we had a couple matches this midweek. Man City took on Brentford. Liverpool took on Luton. And we'll start with Liverpool thrashing all weekend. They beat Brentford 4-1. Then they come out and played Luton on Wednesday, won 4-1 there. They are still looking like the best team in the league.
They are until they play someone good. That's kind of what I've seen be the trend. But, I mean, if they keep doing what they're doing now and then have a positive showing against City, they'll be doing all right, you know? So this was a great week for them because I thought Brentford was going to be doing a little bit better than they're doing with Ivan Toney.
I did too.
I really did. They have disappointed, I would say. So that's a good win right there. And then Luton, they were down 1-0, and they still found a way to smash them 4-1 because they were down 1-0 at half.
Yeah.
The second half, they came out inspired, performed really well. They were on top the entire game. Like, let's be honest. Like, you felt like they were gonna win. I made a joke during the middle of it that Luton's gonna win the Premier League. You heard it here first, but I knew that they were gonna lose that game. Like, you could just see it happening. So, from a Liverpool perspective, this was a fantastic week.
Yes,
because title race is tight right now, and it looked like Arsenal had a leg up on him, especially after that victory. And then Man City looks like they have a leg up on everyone because they're Man City. So everyone's kind of like, oh, can Liverpool hang? This was a statement week for them because they didn't just win 2 games that they should have won. They won in resounding fashion. 4-1, 4-1. Score 8 goals in 2 games. You only conceded the 2. Did pretty well. Brilliant thing in the Luton Town game is 4 different goal scorers.
Yeah.
You're getting it from 4 different sources. The one who started it off when they needed it too, this is why I like their chances, was Virgil van Dijk. The dude has been there, their leader. He's the one who scored when they needed someone to score because that was 56 minutes, hadn't scored, Luton was leading, and then your captain steps up and scores a goal in a corner. Didn't even do any, like, he just powered through. Like, he just wanted that thing.
Yep.
So I feel good for Liverpool because of that. They've got their leadership in Van Dijk playing well. They're doing well. Sure, they lost to Arsenal. Man City's Man City. People might have concerns, but right now they're looking pretty good.
Yeah, and you mentioned the 4 goal scorers in that one. Of their 8 goals, only Cody Gakpo scored twice. So that just shows that they're getting goals from everywhere. Mo Salah made his return the weekend against Brentford, finished with a goal and an assist. Didn't play midweek against Luton, so I think they're still kind of not resting him, but they're letting him ease his way back in after that injury he suffered at the African Cup of Nations. But if he gets going, then and if this team's attack continues to go, because they should have scored. Darwin Nunez should have scored early on in that Luton game. Didn't get it done, but this team and this attack looks very dangerous. With that being said, it is Brentford, who's kind of been flirting with relegation time, and Luton, who is now in the relegation zone. But nonetheless, this was an outstanding week for Liverpool and one they need heading into a big match for a trophy against Chelsea this weekend, which we will touch on a bit later.
Yeah, and the thing is, all you can do is beat who's in front of you.
Yeah.
And they did that, and they did more than just that. Won 8-2 on aggregate. You know, take the 2 games, 8 goals scored, 2 against, 6 points, still on top of the league, doing all right. And Mo Salah still yet to get all the way back to full fitness.
Oh, yeah. And they should.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if they're in this position right now, without their star player, without their goal-scoring talisman, they're going to be okay, you know?
Yeah, I agree. The more and more I look into it, and we'll talk on the title race, but it's the more I feel Liverpool actually has this team to get it done this year and upset Man City. But we'll see. It really was in that Luton game I want to touch on just quickly. 2 goals in 2 minutes, or in 3 minutes, I guess, technically, that got them that 2-1 lead. So they show they can score, and when they get it going, it can be very, very quick and can turn the tide of matches. Another team who may not have had a great midweek match, but put up 5 goals against Burnley and were scoring at will, was Arsenal. I know as an Arsenal fan, you're probably very happy about that. You should beat Burnley, but 5-0 against anybody, it doesn't matter. That's a statement.
No, it 100% is. And look, again, you go into this game, you're like, all right, this should be a win. Burnley is the second worst. I think they're the second worst defense in the Premier League. This should be a win, no problem. Coming off the back of a very, very impressive 6-0 win at West Ham too. Wondered if it was going to continue, or if that was a fluke. It continued. And say what you want, in 2 games, Arsenal suddenly has a superior goal difference than Manchester City, and they're 2 away from Liverpool. Yeah. Just like that, they're right there in terms of goal difference. So these 2 games were massive. Arsenal looked really good this entire game, got the goals flowing early. What was it, 4th minute? Yeah, with Odegaard scoring. That Saka got a couple. Trossard finally got one. Buddy should have had a hat trick before he finally got his first one, but he did get a goal. And then Kai Havertz with a really, really nicely taken goal at the very end. It looked good. Everyone looked like they were playing well in the last couple games. Granted, it's Burnley, but he did it against West Ham, who's very, very good as well. So I think right now, very good signs for Arsenal. Oh, yeah. I just wonder if they're peaking a little too early and if it will continue or not, you know?
Yeah, that is a very big question, because they have since January 20th, when they played their first Premier League match, they've won 5-0, 2-1, 3-1, and that 3-1 was against Liverpool, and now 6-0 and 5-0. I'm going to talk about Bukayo Saka briefly. He scored, 6 goals in the last 4 matches, 2 of them being penalties, but nonetheless, he's back finding his scoring boots, because he wasn't really scoring much in the first half of the season. I think he had 1 against Wolves and 1 against Fulham, and that was about it.
Yeah, and he's always going to be creating, because that's the kind of player he is. If not chances, he's at least going to be creating danger for the opposition back line, because he's so fast, so gifted with his left foot. He can use his right foot too. You saw the goal, right? He can smash it with his right foot as well. But right now, he's the leading scorer on the year. So, wait. Yeah, no, he is. Yeah, right. Yeah. Overall, he's got 12 goals. So, he is doing a lot of the work, which it's still crazy to think about that he is only a couple months older than me. He's 22, and he's doing
he's younger than me.
Isn't that crazy to think about? We're talking about him, whether he's not scoring enough. He's 22. But, yeah, I mean, he looks really good right now, which is huge, because when he's playing well, Arsenal plays well. Because when he doesn't score, sometimes you see we don't have someone else who can always score, because up top, even when Jesus is healthy, he's not always scoring. Trossard's more a false 9. And then Nketiah is very inconsistent, you know? So you need Saka scoring, and he's doing that right now. My biggest concern is it will take one injury, like we saw with Saliba last year, that could potentially derail things. Maybe we peak too early. I don't know if that'll be the problem. I think it might be an injury. And if it's Saka, we're screwed. I will say that right now. So I'm praying that no one gets hurt, because right now things look really good. But we'll see. It's still early. We still have a lot of time to go. We got 12 games? 13 games.
2 matches left,
Arsenal and City. So
so
long way to go.
Still a lot to be played for, and you brought up City right there. They had an interesting week, because played Chelsea, and we've talked time and time again about how Chelsea's really been very bang average this season. They get a draw at the Etihad. Big point for Chelsea, but if you're Man City, you got to be disappointed with this. And then they only win, I say only, they still won, but beat Brentford 1-0. Erling Haaland gets the goal there, and now he's scored against every Premier League team he's played against, which is very impressive in its own right. But just going back to that Chelsea one, it seemed like City should have had more in that.
They didn't look good. Nicholas Jackson, horrible.
Yep.
That should have been a goal. Sterling should have had another goal. They had chances where they were just getting in behind their back line at will. It wasn't like they were pulling shots from 35 that were hitting the crossbar. They were getting behind City's back line at will. They should have had a few more. Now, yeah, City had chances. Haaland had probably the most shocking day in front of goal he's ever had in his career, at least in the last few years. So, sure, they had their chances as well, but they always had their chances. They gave up way too much to a Chelsea team that has been rather uninspiring, And they should have been punished more than they were. Now, they did get the point, and it feels like it's always Rodri who finds a way to score when they need him to.
And he always scores a rocket of a goal.
Yeah, always. He always finds some way to do that. So credit to him. I mean, dude's clutch. He is 100% clutch for him. He saved him on a day where Haaland had a freakishly bad day. Because any other day, he's scoring at least 2 of those. But yeah, they didn't look good in that game. And I guess Chelsea's got they don't have their number because they didn't beat them, but they've drawn them twice. So for as bad of a season as Chelsea has seemingly had, they still know how to play with Man City.
Yeah. And I mean, that first game was arguably the match of the season. I would say a 4-4 draw at Chelsea, and it was just back and forth the entire time. So they're finding a ways to get things done against City, but it's just the other 18 teams at times.
That's where they struggle. And I still think you got to get a striker.
Yeah.
You got to go get someone who can score. Nicholas Jackson is not that guy.
No, he
I
is.
will die on that hill. And I don't know if you want Cole Palmer playing up there.
I don't think Cole Palmer's a striker. I really don't think he's made for that position. I think he's much better in the midfield. And if not there, maybe on the wing a little bit. But I don't see him as a true number 9. And I think that's something that Chelsea really needs, because Nicholas Jackson ain't it. Mudryk ain't it. Whoever else they play up there.
And Kunku's not a striker.
Yeah, he can't play Raheem Sterling at striker because he's much more dangerous on the wing running up and down the field. So
you don't want to do that. Yeah, unless you're going to play Palmer as a false 9, but you're not going to get a lot of goals from him if you put him there. I think you'll be better, like you said, in the midfield. I even think he'd be better on the wing than playing him up top. So, yeah, if you're Chelsea, that's – because if they have a goal scorer, he buries the Nicholas Jackson chance.
Oh, absolutely. If arguably not that Haaland played great that match, but if you have an Erling Haaland or a Mo Salah, I know Mo's on the wing, but you get my point, a true goal scorer,
they're match. That's easy goal. So I don't want to say City got lucky, because they still played all right. They were just having a freakishly bad day in front of goal. And by that, I mean Erling Haaland was having a freakishly bad day in front of goal. And that's going to happen every now and then.
Yeah.
But man, I don't know. They did have 31 shots, which is actually insane, and over 70% possession. But you expect that. I still think they looked so shaky in defense, where it was the balls in behind. They were getting played behind, which I get that Chelsea's got pace, but you've got pace.
Yeah.
Your back line, you got Kyle Walker, who is still rapid.
Yeah, the fact that I want to say he's well into his 30s at this point. But the fact he's still rapid, he's 33, and he's still running up and down the mid defense, just controlling it, and can chase down anybody. I can't remember who the player was a few weeks ago, but there's a great clip of ball was played in through, and this guy who has pace on the wing was sprinting down, and Kyle Walker just out of nowhere comes and takes it away. He's still rapid and still a very, very good defender.
Yeah, he's a freak. He's a freak with how he can run. He's actually a freak. But they did at least get a point. It's not like the end of the world, but at home, when you have this much possession, it should be way more secure in the back. And I'm not going to say anything about the attack because that was a freak day. You're not going to sit here and be like, oh, Erling Haaland needs to do better. He always does better. It was a freak day. Everyone has him. My biggest concern with them in that game was the defending. And my biggest concern for Chelsea is the fact that they couldn't bury some of those chances they had that were golden. Sterling, Jackson, whoever. They had chances, and they couldn't find a way to punish them. Because if they had put away a couple early, they would have won the game.
Yep, 100%. And Now it makes it for an interesting title picture because Arsenal and Man City have played one less match than Liverpool, both on 25, Liverpool on 26. And as the points stand, Liverpool are top with 60 points, Man City 56, Arsenal 55. This has to be the best title race we've had in quite a long time. Sure, we've had a couple exciting ones like Arsenal, Man City last year for a bit, but then Man City ran away. Even the year Liverpool won it, they kind of pulled away at the end. So it was this year we have three teams that are within. Say Arsenal and City win their match in hand this weekend. It'll be 2 points separating the top three.
Yeah.
Where are you leaning at the moment? What are your thoughts on the title picture? Because I know when we last discussed this, you're still on board of Man City is the team to beat. Is that still the case?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I think they've been there, they've done it, they know how to do it, and they've got it in their hands because they still have to play Liverpool and they still have to play Arsenal. You know, it's in their hands. They win at the games they need to win. They'll win the league. I think they will, and I think they'll win the league again. I think I don't know who I'd say has a better shot between Liverpool or Arsenal at this point. I'm going to give it to Liverpool right now because they have won it before, and it's Klopp's last year. So that adds an extra little motivating factor. But you also wonder if Arsenal's experience last year could push them over the hump this year. I still think City's going to win the league. There is a chance, I think, that either of those two teams win. I didn't think Arsenal had a shot until they beat Liverpool the other day.
Yeah.
That's what kind of changed my mind on it, where I'm like, all right, maybe there's a chance. I still think they'll find a way to mess it up towards the end. And Liverpool, sure, they look great this week, but it was relegation battle teams. When they're playing better teams, they often don't look as great. So I still think it's City's to win, and I think they will win it. Because, again, it's not just the fact that they're right there, but they get to play both their competitors for the title. I forget if the Liverpool one's at home. I know Arsenal's playing City at home.
Yeah, so it's Arsenal is away to City and City's away to Liverpool.
Yeah, I think City wins both of them.
Yeah. My only concern for Liverpool, because they do seem to get banged up every year, is they're still in the FA Cup. Obviously, the EFL Cup will be done this weekend. They're still in Europa League. Arsenal is still in Champions League, but they lost that first leg, so we'll see how long they are still in that for. Yeah. Which I realistically think that could benefit them if they get knocked out of the Champions League.
I do too. God, I don't want to go out.
No, especially against a team like Porto, who, don't get me wrong, Porto is one of those Champions League teams that they've found ways to win. They do have more Champions League titles than Arsenal, I am pretty sure.
Fuck you.
More than Man City, less than Liverpool, but it's one of those teams that just finds ways to do well in Europe. And I'm just concerned because last year because Arsenal was in the Champions League last year, I believe, weren't they? No. Yeah, they were. Yeah, and they made not a deep run, but I think it took a toll of them playing twice a week for quite a while, whereas Man City was used to that and they were still able to keep it going and all that. This year they now have that extra experience, and if they do make a cup run, they know how to balance it with the league. Liverpool is the only one I'm really concerned about because they should make a run in the FA Cup and they should make a run in the Europa League.
Yeah.
Man City, they could make a run in both. I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm not worried about them because they proved that they can win all three a year ago. So it's one of those things that I still think Man City is the team to beat. And I would say just on paper, Liverpool's that second best team, but I'm not sleeping on Arsenal just because of the potential fatigue aspect. And this Man City team, I will say, isn't as deep as they have been in the past.
No.
And it's not like Erling Haaland's blasting away 30, 35 goals this year. He has 17, has been injured a lot, which he still leads the Premier League, but it's one of those things that it'll be interesting to see what happens. And like you said, 13 and 12 matches left. It's going to be a very exciting title race.
This is the year for other teams to win it, though.
Yeah.
With City not as strong as they've been with Erling Haaland getting injured, not as strong with De Bruyne getting injured. This is the year to win it. Because next year it will probably be Pep's last year. They're going to be motivated as hell. I don't think anyone wins it next year besides City. So I think this is the year, unless you're waiting until 2025, 2026, this is the year to win it. You know?
Yeah, and that brings up a whole nother question of what the hell happens. Like we've talked in the past about Jurgen Klopp leaving Liverpool and what's next. Pep leaving Man City is going to be an even bigger shakeup to the Premier League.
It is, and I think he goes international.
Really?
You saw the
Yeah.
Yeah, you saw that. I don't think he
I
goes.
saw U.S. men national team fans wanting him, which
Bro, he lives in New York during the summer. I am just saying he won't come.
I think if he goes to manage international, he would manage a Spain or one I would throw out there because they've had their managerial issues as of late. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him in Brazil.
I was going to say it's either Spain or Brazil for me. I think Spain. They did extend what's his face's contract through De La Fuente. They extended it through 2026.
Yeah, through the World Cup. So there's time there, but I could not imagine. We've seen Pep work with Brazilians before, and I think with the skill that team has, obviously Neymar's not at the end of his career yet. He does get hurt quite often, but he still will find a way to play well for Brazil. Now they're all-time leading goal scorer.
He's only 32.
I know. It seems like he's so much older.
He could have another – okay, no, he probably won't, but another World Cup and Copa America.
Yeah.
Realistic.
And then otherwise you have Vinicius, Rodrigo, who's an Endrick. This team,
dude, Endrick coming up to be crazy.
The Brazilian team is so good, and a guy like Pep would really get the best out of him and make him play like that Barcelona team did. I could see, which would be very dangerous. I think Pep might be the piece because they have the talent to win a World Cup and win their sixth, but it's been the managerial side that I think has been the issue, and Pep could be the answer to get Brazil their sixth World Cup title.
Yeah, if he goes to Brazil, they're winning the World Cup. I think 100%. Granted, international managing is very different than clubs. Pep's a dude who likes to kind of micromanage things a little bit, you know?
He likes picking his players and spending money, but he gets to pick his players on international, which I think would benefit him. Sorry to cut you off.
No, that's true. It's a true point, too. But I think he likes being able to be involved with the training every day to help players see something new, get to work with them. I mean, we've seen them transform players and what they can do. Think about John Stones. Think about what he's done for that guy. Like, he can find ways to transform the way players think about the game. Like, I think, who was it? Gundogan said that he just completely transformed him as a player. He's not going to have that same opportunity at the international level just because of how short the windows are, I still think he'd be successful, though, with his tactical awareness and the connection he can have with players, because his players all love him. Besides Yaya Toure, but that's its own issue. When you look at the connection he has, his managerial chops, I think he's going to win a World Cup if he goes to Brazil or Spain. If he goes to the U.S., I don't think he wins a World Cup, but God, it'd be a fun ride.
It would be a hell of a time. Messi playing in the MLS, Pep managing the U.S. national team. U.S. football is on the rise, and I will say that. I still think an African team or potentially even an Asian team will win the World Cup before U.S. or Mexico.
I think an African team does before us.
The way Africa has been on the up and up, it just seems like that'll happen at some point.
Yeah, agreed. I do think the U.S. will win it one day. I don't think it'll be till I'm older.
I'm just hoping that England can manage to win one before the U.S. wins their first, because I don't know what would happen if England and the U.S. had the same number of World Cups.
You guys will lose all credibility in every online argument.
Feed me one game. Feed me Philadelphia, July 4th. England comes into America and gets redemption.
No.
That would not happen. England would lose that match, and we've spoken on that before. But
if that game happens, you will see me drunk as hell wearing a red, white, and blue wife beater in the stands going crazy for the U.S. Just saying. I will be watching for that.
Yeah, if that game happens, I might hide myself away somewhere to watch that, because I don't know how well it would go down in public wearing England stuff on July 4th.
Oh, dude, you'd be massacred.
And with that being said, I always wear an England shirt on July 4th. Same way I wear an England shirt on St. Patrick's Day, just to be a little bit provocative.
Oh, you're that guy, huh?
It gets the people going. So funny.
I'm offended.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I really don't care either way. St. Patrick's Day is a blast because you can just it gives you a legit reason to just get hammered and go party and sing up and down the street. So Do enjoy St. Patty's Day and July 4th. Love me some fireworks, but I always wear the England shirt just for shits and gigs.
You're one of those guys. To be fair, Cinco de Mayo, I rip a U.S. jersey, so it's all good.
Exactly, same thing.
Any day,
Also,
Mexican Independence Day, fucking give me my U.S. jersey.
also love me Cinco de Mayo. Cinco de Mayo is amazing.
We love our cultural appropriation of holidays just to get drunk. I love it. St. Patrick's Day.
Yep.
And Cinco de Mayo is not even a Mexican holiday. It's like a region of Mexico that celebrates it. And we've just taken that as our own.
Oh, it's great.
The U.S.
Oh, yeah. America. But back to England and back to the Premier League. There's only really a couple other matches to talk about for this past week. This one, very briefly, we can touch on just because it was kind of a exciting match. Newcastle Bournemouth finished 2-2, but it was a 92nd minute equalizer for Matt Ritchie to get Newcastle the point. And Bournemouth looked relatively good in that one.
They've looked relatively good, to be fair, this year. A lot better than I thought they would, because I thought they were going down. So, I mean, they've had a pretty impressive year, to be fair to them. Currently in 13th. They're comfortably away from the relegation zone, 8 points. And they're not too far away from getting into the top half. They're only 7 points away. So they're in a nice little spot right now, doing all right. And this was a good result for them. And it just shows how inconsistent Newcastle is. Because I swear, they're probably going to beat Arsenal because this is what they do. But, yeah, they were down twice to Bournemouth. Twice, at home. It's not even like you're away. You're down twice at home. I get it, Solanke's having a great year. He scores a goal, whatever. But there's no way you should be tied with Bournemouth if you're a team like Newcastle with the talent they have and the money they have and the support they have. This has just been a disappointing year, and games like this just highlight the problems that the club is having. Yeah. That being said, they're still in 8th, and they could still fight for a European spot because I imagine that 7th place will have a European spot available. But they've got to pick it up a little bit because right now it's just every week you don't know what Newcastle team is going to show up.
Not at all.
And that's the problem. And hangover year, you're hopping right back into Champions League, whatever. It's been disappointing. You don't even have to get top 4, but at least look competitive, at least win the games you're supposed to win. They don't win the games they're supposed to win half the time. So,
don't get me wrong. They've won 2 of their last 4, drawn 2 of the other 2. So it's not like they're losing as of late. But there was also that point earlier at the end of 2023, beginning of 2024, where they lost 4 straight Premier League matches.
Yeah.
You can't be that inconsistent, and that's just been Newcastle's Achilles heel all season. I'll touch on one other team who's played twice this week, lost both, and has really fallen back to reality. That's Luton Town. Luton's now lost 3 straight in the league, lost 3-1 to Sheffield United, 2-1 this past weekend to Man U, and then obviously 4-1 to Liverpool. Are you surprised by this, or do you think this is kind of inevitable at some point?
I'm not surprised. I was riding the wave, but you always had a feeling that eventually the wave has to crash, So kind of felt like that was going to happen. It has. The one that's disappointing is the Sheffield United game. The other 2, whatever, throw that out the door. But you can't lose to Sheffield United when Sheffield United's as bad as they are. If you want to stay up, that's a game that you have to win. Luton didn't do that, So they have kind of come back down to earth a little bit. It's not like dire right now because Everton's still right there. You still have other clubs right there. But you miss a big chance with that Sheffield United game. You miss a golden opportunity to try and distance yourself. At least, I mean, if they'd won that game, they'd still be in 17th place. But 17th looks a whole lot better than 18th.
Yes,
And I don't know. It's not the end of the world, but you look at what's coming up. You got Villa. That's probably not going to be a win. Mm-mm. So then you got to pick up points against Palace. You got to try against Bournemouth. And then you got a big one coming up with Forest. So the next 3 games after that game are going to be pretty critical because there are chances to pick up points. So it's not like a dire situation that they're finally losing games. You expect that for a relegation battle team, but you got to pick up points when you can now.
Oh,
absolutely. Against Villa, got to get in those 3.
I mean, they still have to play Everton at home. As of now, it's May 4th, so that could be a very big, important one. But looking at Everton, they still have to play all three teams in the bottom, as well as Bournemouth, Forest, Brentford. They have a lot of easier matches, yet they also do have to play Arsenal, Liverpool, Man U. This could be a very interesting race between the two of them. I'm now leaning like I've kind of been back and forth all season.
Yeah.
As of now, I'm on board with Luton being that team to go down. I just think this past week their defenses looked atrocious. That start against Man U, giving 2 goals to Højlund in 6 minutes and falling down quickly. They did get another one back a few minutes later, but it just wasn't enough. And it's stuff like that where you can play good against teams, but you're not getting results. You're still finding yourself on the back end of what's happening, and they have their work cut out for them. So,
yeah, I'm definitely agreeing with you. I think Everton, I mean, they've been in this situation before. I mean, Everton fans will remember last season all too well when it came down to the final day, and they found a way to stay up. So you got to back them here. You know, they've done it before. I do think they've got slightly better players. Luton, I don't know. We'll find out if their little stretch of form was a fluke or if that's what they're actually capable of, you know, over these next few games. Relegation battle is more interesting than I thought it would be this year, though. Yeah. It has turned out to actually be kind of good. It's going to be exciting to watch from a neutral fan perspective. Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens. I would love to see Luton stay up. I will say that. Their stadium, the culture, the fact that coming in, I thought on paper they were surely the worst team in the Prem. Yeah. And then you see them out here performing with the big boys. You know, They play with heart. They play with absolute heart. So I'd love to see them stay up. We'll see what they're made of, you know, because right now you don't want to make a call either way because each week it just keeps flipping back down there. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
And I think the big one for Everton, and this might be my boldest prediction of the whole season. I know I took Bournemouth against Man U, which ended up working out. But Everton on March 17th will get a point at home to Liverpool. They will get a point, at least a point in that one, and that'll be kind of turn the tide. And as you mentioned, last year, their home crowd took over and more or less willed them to staying up. It's one of those things that they kind of found a late push at home especially and managed to get it done. I do like their odds to stay up again this year, but you never know. It's the Premier League. Crazier things have happened.
If they fall down, the club's in trouble.
Yes, they are.
I remember looking at something after last season. Like if they went down last season, they would have been screwed. With the salaries they have, all this stuff, they would lose a bunch of their players or not be able to afford them anymore. It just the whole club. They're already in trouble. Like they already have all this stuff going on. If they go down, it could be potentially catastrophic to the point where we see them drop down to League One. It could be like a Wolves level fall off.
Everything about them seems very similar to Leeds, where they were when Leeds were relegated in the 03 season around there and fell down to League One because of mismanagement and bad spending, which we've seen Everton throw a lot of money at players that they cannot afford if they go down to the Championship. So it's one of those things that Toffee fans, look out. If you go down, you might be down for a while.
Yeah, I don't think they'd come back up. It won't be a Leicester City situation. They'll be down there for a few solid years and have to try to rebuild.
Yeah, bring it up, Leicester. Talk about an exciting title race, or I guess promotional race there in the Championship. There's about 4 teams all kind of, or really Leicester's run away with it, but then Leeds, Ipswich, Southampton, a point or 2 points separate all 3 of them for that second automatic promotion spot. So that's another exciting one to watch until the end of the season, just because who knows? We always like seeing who's coming up next year. It was the same with Luton Town last season. You never know what's going to happen. And the Championship playoff, as we saw last year, can be very, very hectic.
Hey, with Josh Sargent back, Norwich is back on the friggin' charge, man. He is banging goals.
Norwich and Sheffield Wednesday on the up.
Nope, not Sheffield Wednesday, but they're going back down. I've already match week 1. I'm like, yeah, this is not it.
Yeah, that team has not been good this year. It's just been bad, but
they belong in the Championship too. You know that should be
I just want one season where Sheffield United and Sheffield Wednesday are in the same league just for that rivalry.
It hasn't happened in a while.
No, it hasn't, because either one of them gets promoted and both of them do, or both of them get relegated in the same season. It would just be fun to have. And don't get me wrong, I feel like Wednesday deserves at times to be in the championship. They just
Not
haven't
right
played
now, man.
in the
Not right
season.
now.
It's been bad. Want to touch on a little bit of news because we were talking about Luton, talking about that Man U match, and guy who scored both, Rasmus Højlund, is now out. He's out for 2 to 3 weeks, it seems, is the report, which will make him miss the Man U or the Manchester derby. And what a loss that is for Man U. He scored 7 goals and had 2 assists in his last 6 matches, scored in 6 straight across all competitions. He has been superb as of late, and really, he's really the only reason Man U's kind of winning games at the moment. Scored the opener against Aston Villa, ended up winning 2-1. Scored both against Luton. Scored against Wolves, got an assist where they won by 1. He's just finding important times to score, and I don't know if they have anyone else to replace him at the moment.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And he doesn't know this, but he made me eat my words because I predicted him as the flop of the year, which for a little bit looked like he would be. Yeah. And recently he has just turned it up. He's going crazy right now. And he is the reason that they've been winning a lot of their games or getting results in a lot of their games. It's because he's finding the back of the net. So now that you lose him, who's going to step up? I don't think there's anyone who's going to step up, like you said. I think they're going to lose that goal-scoring source that they finally found where things are looking good. And that's a problem if that's the only goal-scoring option you have. They don't have enough depth, in terms of goal scorers. They don't have enough depth. So they put themselves back in the Champions League race. They're 5 points out. But with him out, I don't feel confident in what they're going to do. Now, I'm not saying they're going to completely decompensate. I think they'll be in a similar situation, to be honest, as where they were earlier before he found his goal scoring form. It'll be more of the same, where good one game, pretty awful the next, keep going back and forth. It is disappointing though. You never want to see a player get hurt, especially someone who's finally found their form in the Premier League, because that's the hardest league in the world to find your form in. It's the Premier League.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, he's finally found it, and then he gets hurt. It's devastating. You feel for him. You feel for Man U. And I don't think they're going to find someone else to fill that void.
Yeah, I'm
being diplomatic.
Yeah, we know. I'm looking at it now that you have to move Marcus Rashford up top, where he's been playing well on the wing, at least well enough. But my concern is you now would likely have to bring in Antony. And Antony has been another guy that has not found his footing in the Premier League yet. Sure, he's had a couple good matches here and there, but everyone has good matches here and there. That's my concern, is they don't have someone who has the hot foot. It'd be like, say, I know Tottenham lost this past weekend, but if they had lost Richarlison, they would be in trouble because he has been the one willing them to results and getting the goals. A guy like Højlund, the way he's been playing, goes back to what we were talking about Chelsea earlier. You need a true number 9 to get results, and he would be a kind of guy that can single-handedly get you a point or 3 points and has been proving so. So it's big loss for Man U. We will see what happens next because they do have some interesting fixtures coming up. It is favorable. They are home to Fulham, at Forest in the FA Cup, then the big one at Man City, which I think we can all wash off even if Højlund was playing as a City win.
Yeah.
Then it's Everton, Sheffield United, Brentford, Chelsea. So those are all very manageable matches. It might not be the end of the world just because of the opposition you have at the moment.
You say that, but then they'll find a way to draw these games and lose these games, That's the problem. We'll see if it takes a big hit on them or not. Because, like you said, they should be fine in terms of the quality they have versus a team like Fulham, Everton, Sheffield United, Brentford, and even Chelsea. But I wonder if it takes a toll on them to know, well, great. We finally got Raz playing well, and then he's hurt. Well, shit. What are we going to do? I wonder if it's going to take that kind of toll on them, even take that kind of toll on Ten Hag, We'll see what they're made of. We
definitely will. And we're going to step away from the Premier League. We'll be right back shortly to talk about our match of the week and in a rather uneventful week, so that'll be relatively quick. But we didn't touch on it last week because we didn't have an episode. Champions League is back. 2 Premier League teams have played so far, and Man City took care of business because I guess there are only 2 Premier League teams left in the Champions League: Man City and Arsenal. Man City played FC Copenhagen last week, 1-3-1. They looked like the Man City team we expect to see. De Bruyne got a goal, Silva, Foden, kind of an all-around solid performance for the other Manchester team.
Yeah, the only reason they gave up that goal too is because Ederson was being a dumbass.
Yep.
Played the ball right to him. Great finish. I will say that off the initial shot was deflected. Then I forget his name came in and cleaned things up.
Madison.
Madsen, yeah, the dude who was banging in goals in the Eredivisie before moving over there. So that was really impressive. It was 1-1, and you're like, maybe they're Copenhagen's at home. They're not bad. But yeah. Then, like you said, City of old kind of came out. They got the goal. Who was it? Bernardo Silva, I think, got the next one for him. Yeah, a little toe poke, and then Foden, 92nd minute. Makes the 3-1, I think, puts it out of reach. There's no way Copenhagen wins by 2.
Especially at the Etihad.
At the Etihad, there's no way. So they're looking very comfortable. They look calm. They look composed. They did what they needed to do. And they've set themselves up into a great position to get to the quarterfinals, try to win back-to-back Champions Leagues, which would be crazy if they did.
Yeah, I will say they look like the best team in this first round of the knockout stage, first round of 16 matches. Only other team to win by multiple goals was PSG. Also, the only team to score multiple goals was PSG, and they're playing Real Sociedad, who has not exactly been overly impressive. They're 6th in La Liga, so it's one of those things that it's nothing too special. Other Premier League team, Arsenal. I know you don't want to talk on this too much, but we have to mention it. Lost 1-0 to Porto in a 94th minute goal, which, don't get me wrong, the goal was great by Galeno. So it's just one of those things that, as you said before, Aaron Ramsdale probably would have saved that goal.
I 100% think he would have. He would have been a few steps back, and he would have made the save. I don't know why David Raya was as high as he was.
Mm-hmm.
Still can't figure it out. But he was. And you know what? Fair play. Fair play, because that goal from, who was it, Galeno? Was out of top bins goal. That was a great shot. And it saw it was 94th minute too. And I literally called it because I had to leave to go do something. I'm like, no, it was class. That's what it was. And I was like, watch, they're gonna friggin' score in stoppage time. I could just see it happening.
Mm-hmm.
What are the odds? They score in stoppage time.
Yeah.
And Arsenal had so much of the ball in this game.
Yeah.
Porto sat back. Arsenal's just playing it around the back, playing it confidently. But the thing is, we didn't create anything.
Not a single shot on target.
Yeah, 7 shots only, 0 on target, 0. First half, Porto should have scored. I forget his name off the top of my head. But he hit the post and then put it wide. It should have been 1-0 easily. And then obviously they got the goal. So even though they lost the possession battle, Porto looked far more dangerous than we did.
Absolutely.
Arsenal looked lackluster. It looked like they were still like, oh, we just beat West Ham 6-0, and then we won 5-0. We're feeling great. We should come in here, take care of business. That's not how it works in the Champions League.
No.
Everyone in the round of 16 is a damn good team. And you're playing at Porto. That's a hard-ass environment to play in. And, yeah, Porto won. They punished Arsenal. They did what they came in to do, which is drop back, let them have the ball up there, don't let them get any dangerous chances, which is what they did. And then they scored when they needed to at the end of the game. Now, I do think Arsenal will be fine. I think we will win. I'm not completely confident because of what happened with Sporting last year in the round of 16 in the Europa League.
Another Portuguese team.
But I still feel confident. I think Arsenal will get this done.
Yeah.
Man, you don't want to have this first kind of game because it wasn't just that we lost. It looked uninspired. It looked like no one cared. It looked like they thought it'd be a cakewalk. And that's a stupid mentality for a team that hasn't been in the Champions League for years to have. So it was kind of disappointing to see that.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, it's against a team that hasn't looked great this year. in the Portuguese league.
Nope.
Porto's sitting third. They're 7 points behind Sporting and Benfica, who are the top two at the moment. They're not even in a Champions League qualification spot for next year. So they looks likely like this will be their last one for at least the next year. So they're playing inspired football at the moment, and it just seemed like Arsenal thought they would walk into Portugal, come away with 3 points without having to put up in it, or I guess come away with the lead in the aggregate after.
Yeah.
But they did not.
You know what you meant.
Yeah. It's just one of those things that they looked like they thought, oh, this is an easy one. We're playing a Portuguese side that hasn't been great. You can never count anyone out. They're in the Champions League round of 16 for a reason, and their group was rather interesting. It wasn't the hardest group, but Barcelona, Shakhtar, Royal Antwerp. You expect Porto to get out of that, but maybe that's another reason they overlooked him a bit. It's one of those things.
Mm-hmm.
I do agree with you, though. I do think Arsenal gets it done back at the Emirates. But like you said last year, you never know. It's the Champions League. Anything can happen. We'll find out March 12th of who is going through on that tie. Look at this week's action in the Premier League. Like I've said before, it's not that exciting. Our match of the week, Arsenal hosting Newcastle. What are your thoughts on that match? Because I don't have a ton to say, but I'll let you start.
I think Arsenal will win. I think there will be a reaction from what happened midweek.
Yeah.
Plus, you're still riding that Premier League confidence high. I think Arsenal gets it done. Plus, at home with the Emirates crowd, I think they're really going to be out in full force, seeing how the league title's looking, and knowing that the players might need a little bit of that extra boost, especially considering what happened midweek. So I do think that Arsenal will get it done. I think Arteta's going to have a solid game plan. But Newcastle likes to do this thing where they play really terribly against mediocre teams, and then the next week play superbly against really good teams.
Yep.
So I wouldn't count this as an automatic Arsenal win. Newcastle, a very capable team, still in 8th place, still fighting for something as well. There's a shot that they come into the Emirates and win. I wouldn't be surprised if they do. I'm still going to back Arsenal. I'm going to go 2-1. I think Newcastle does get a goal. But I think Arsenal's going to win, but I would not be shocked at all to see Newcastle come in and take, not just draw, but take all 3 points.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think after that Champions League effort, Mikel Arteta is going to rip into those boys and get them going for this one, because you have a chance to move within 2 points of Liverpool if you win. If you draw, you're kind of finding yourself almost on that outside looking in. And if you lose, it's definitely an uphill battle with all the matches left to go. So I expect a very motivated and exciting looking team this weekend. I think they win 3-1. I do think the attack gets going. I'm expecting a Bukayo Saka goal at least. And I think Arsenal, they are the better team, but like you said, you can't count out Newcastle. You never know how they're going to show up. But it's one of those things that I just think on this given day, Arsenal will be the better team, especially considering they lost the previous match to not only Porto, but the earlier match to Newcastle in 2023 in the earlier part of the season. So it's one of those that I'm backing the Gunners, and we'll see how it goes. Are there any other matches you kind of want to go in depth on at all, or do you want to just kind of – because the real match of the week is the EFL Cup Final, which we'll touch on, but I want to just go through the predictions and previews for these other ones quickly.
Yeah, let's just do that. It's not that exciting of a week.
No.
All the attention's going on the EFL Cup. There's not going to be a lot going on. So we can just let's just run. I mean, Chelsea, Tottenham, but that got postponed. So.
Yeah, I was going to say that would have been the only
that was supposed to be the one
match, but not happening. So
let's just run through it.
Sounds good to me. We'll start with Saturday's matches. We have 4 at 10 o'clock Eastern, 1 at 12:30 Eastern, and 1 at 3 Eastern, which is the Arsenal-Newcastle one. Start at the top, Aston Villa, Nottingham Forest. Aston Villa seems straightforward at home. Sure, they've struggled a little bit at home, lost their last 2, but I think they get back to winning ways. And I think they beat Forest 2-1.
Not losing to Forest. They win 2-0.
Yeah. Brighton, Everton, same sort of thing. We were talking about Everton earlier, but this is on the road for the Toffees, so I think Brighton gets a result, especially coming off a 5-0 thrashing of
Yeah.
Sheffield United. Another relegation battling side. I think they win rather comfortably. I think it'd be 2-0.
I'm saying 3-1. Brighton, better team at home. They're looking to play for something as well, so I think they get this done.
Yeah, because they're right on that Europa League or Conference League, European
Yeah.
sort of stretch. So we'll see what happens there. Let you start on this one. Crystal Palace hosting Burnley.
Oh, Palace. It's got to be. Burnley, defensively shocking. I'm not even just saying that because they got scored on 5 times by Arsenal. They just don't look good.
Yeah.
I've been pretty disappointed with how Company's had his defense looking this year. I thought they'd look more stout, more confident back there. They don't. Palace hasn't looked very great either, to be completely frank, but I think they've got more talent. They're at home. I think they win this game. It's going to be a terrible game, but I'm going 1-0 Palace.
I thought I had to sneeze there for a second. I agree. Burnley has looked terrible. I am going to say, though, I'm backing them to get a draw in this one. Crystal Palace has been conceding late goal after late goal. It seems they did it at this week over the weekend against Everton. And it's been, 8 matches since Burnley's won, and that was a 2-0 win away to Fulham. Away again to another London side. I'm going to go 1-1, but I think this is an absolutely dire match.
Right.
Don't see too much excitement happening. Man U Fulham. I'm backing the London side to get the win in Manchester, solely because I don't know who's going to score for Man U for all the things we were talking about earlier surrounding Højlund. I'm going to go 1-0 Fulham, but it's not a confident 1-0. It's just I think they will find a way to get it done somehow because Fulham's the definition of mid-table mediocrity this year.
Always.
They haven't really impressed anyone. They haven't been in the relegation battle. They're kind of just there. Them and Wolves.
Yeah, throughout the whole year, they've just looked very mid. Always in that spot. As soon as the season started, they've always been in that spot. I'm going to back Man U. I'm going to do the reverse of what you did. I'm going 1-0 to Man U. I don't know who's going to score for him, but I do think they score.
Scott McTominay, 88th minute.
See, I was going to say that. Scott McTominay after the 80th minute. That's the only way my mind was going right there. Yeah. But I do think they will get the win. 1-0. They have more quality than Fulham.
They do.
I'm going to back them to get it done. I'm not confident about this either. I could see this being an awful match, 100%. But I do think I'm going Man U 1-0.
Yeah. Next match, other Manchester team, Man City's traveling to Bournemouth. Quite a big trek for them, but I am going to lean Man City for obvious reasons that they are the better team. But don't count out Bournemouth. They are getting results and playing pretty stout defense as of late. Still, nonetheless, give me Man City. Give me 2-0.
I'm feeling 2-3 Man City. They win 3-2.
Okay.
I think Bournemouth's going to get a few goals. I like Solanke, man. He's got to get snapped up by someone at the end of the year. With the way he's playing, he's got to get snapped up.
Yeah, you look at – go ahead.
No, you go.
So you look at the leading goal scorers in the Premier League, 5 of the top 6 are players for the top 5 teams.
Mm-hmm.
The third most scorer is Dominic Solanke with 14. So he's going to have a summer move somewhere. I think it's inevitable. Curious question is where?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think he'll get a goal. I really do. I like how he's been playing. His finishing's really been impressive this year. I think he'll get on the score sheet. I think someone else will for Bournemouth as well. But City's just City. I think it will be close. I don't think this will be a walk in the park. It was like you said, Bournemouth is not a bad team. They're getting results right now, and they're playing well. City's City. So I think City's going to win this game. So I'm going 3-2, but I think it's going to be a closer game than a lot of people might think it would be just looking at it right now. Bournemouth is in pretty good form if you're looking at from about December on. So I think it'll be a closer game than people think, but I do think City will edge out and get the win.
I like that. Wolves, Sheffield United. Does Sheffield get anything done against the mid-table Wolverhampton Wanderers?
No, I will always bet against Sheffield United. Wolves wins. They win 3-0.
Yeah, I'm going the exact same scoreline, exact same reasoning. This one was straight to the point. Wolves comfortably, especially at home.
Yeah.
West Ham Brentford, which this could have been a shout, in my opinion, for a possible match of the week. solely because I think this will be an exciting one. I think two teams, both London sides, both have moments of excitement, both have exciting players. Jared Bowen, Ivan Toney, expecting both of them to find their way on the goal sheet. But I'm going to take the home side, a little home bias there, I'll say, I guess. But give me West Ham. Give me 2-1.
I gotta go West Ham here. I think Brentford hasn't like we said earlier, they just haven't showed up like we thought they would with Ivan Toney. So West Ham's at home. They're still fighting for something as well. They're right there with Newcastle, Brighton, those kinds of teams looking for Conference League, Europa League, whatever it is. And just a few games ago, they were what, 5th or 6th place? So they want to get back up to that level. I think they're going to do it here. I think they're going to win 2-0. Yeah, give me West Ham.
I like it. That wraps up our Premier League coverage. Now time for the big one. Chelsea, Liverpool at Wembley, the EFL Cup Final. Last 2 times that these two teams have played in a cup final, 0-0, went to penalties, Liverpool won. Does someone actually score this time? Because those last 2 were absolutely dreadful matches.
I think someone does here. And on paper, I think it should be Liverpool. And I said that before we came on the show.
Yeah.
I'm like, Liverpool's going to take this. But the more I say it out loud, the more I think Chelsea's going to somehow find a way to get back into Europe through the EFL Cup. I actually think that. I don't know. I think they're going to be up for this game and they're going to find a way to get it done. I really hope not, because Liverpool deserves it. Because I don't think they're going to win the league, and I want Klopp to get a title in his last year. So I do want Liverpool to win this game for that reason. And for that reason, I think Chelsea's going to win, because they always do that. They always find a way to do that. So I'm going to actually go Chelsea now. I think it'll be a really good game. I think Chelsea wins 2-1 in extra time. That's my prediction.
I like it. I like the reasoning behind it as well. And it is one of those games that Chelsea has literally nothing else to play for. Sure, they're in the FA Cup still, but like I said beforehand, little bias. I think Leeds manages to at least get a draw and send it to a second leg. And I don't see them beating out Man U's or Liverpool's or Man City's in the champion or in the FA Cup. I could see them doing something here. I could see them getting a result, but it would be an extra time or penalties. I think Mo Salah shows up in a big way, and I think he gets at least one, and then either gets a second or a goal and an assist. I think Liverpool end up winning in normal time. I'm going to go 2-1. I think it'll just be one of those matches that Nicholas Jackson's going to have a chance to make it 2-0 for Chelsea. He's going to miss. Liverpool's going to do what they've done time and time again, score quick goals back-to-back and kind of run away with it in the end and just dominate.
What are the odds that Nicholas Jackson rockets a sitter during this game? I'm going to do this for him and Nunez, either or. Nunez hits the post on sitter or crossbar. He gets framed rather than goal. What do we think the odds are here? I'm thinking it's pretty high for at least one of the two to happen.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very interesting one to see who makes and I think that could be what this match comes down to, is who makes less mistakes in front of goal. Because both teams have proven time and time again that they do make mistakes at key moments in matches that kind of turn the tide. And I just think that's where Mohamed Salah is different for Liverpool, where he will actually finish. All he needs is one shot. I think he will finish it. I'm not convinced about everybody else. It's going to be one of those. It's going to be an exciting match. I don't think it's going to be as dire as the past 2 0-0s that they've had, which part of me is just hoping that it actually isn't.
It's a final. It has to be exciting, right? Like, it has to be.
Really. Last time they played, it was 5-6 in penalties, but there were a whole 4 shots on target throughout the majority of the match. Time before, it was what? Oh, man, they actually did have shots. But that was a crazy penalty shootout. That was 10-11.
Yeah.
That Liverpool only won because Kepa missed the last penalty, which was the only miss of the entire time.
That wasn't the game he refused to come out, was it?
Was
that the game he refused to be subbed out? Then he missed the pen?
No, he was subbed on in that one at the very end.
Okay, I was thinking of a different game.
Yeah, no, I know which one you're talking about. I
Yeah.
can't remember who we were playing, but refused to come out. What a guy. Where's he been playing recently?
Madrid. He's Madrid's on right now. Courtois hurt.
Yeah,
he hasn't been doing too badly, to be fair.
Yeah, hasn't played much there, but yeah. Well, Jackson, any final thoughts or comments on this week's episode before we wrap it up?
Nothing on my end. EFL Cup should be fun. Yeah, looking forward to the weekend of action, and MLS is back. Just saying.
Messi with that chip over. Anybody but Messi, hands are being thrown.
Yeah, yeah. But because it's the greatest player of all time. Yeah.
The disrespect. And I loved that the guy who was on the ground came out and posted something on, I think, his Instagram story of like, yep, that was me. I was the cone in the drill today.
Think about that. You're just a cone in Messi's drill.
Yeah. I still don't know if they win it.
No.
Just because I think
they look terrible in preseason, man. There's no way.
And I'm also thinking like Messi's obviously going to go to Copa Americas. So there's a number of games he'll miss. There's talks of him going to the Olympics as well, which would be even more matches missed.
I think he does it.
Without him, sure, you got Suarez, but Suarez might be going to Copa.
Yeah, and plus
Suarez he's just there for vibes.
They're all there for vibes.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta live with your boys in Miami, just having fun and playing a game. It's
Think about it. It's pretty friggin' awesome.
Oh, I mean, that would be so much fun.
Name something better than living in Miami with your boys, playing a game and getting paid millions of dollars. There's nothing better.
Yeah, I saw something that was like Messi's contract this year is more than virtually the entire roster of every other MLS team.
Yeah.
Crazy. But there you have it. I will say my final thoughts. FA Cup is up this upcoming week as well, so that's something else to watch in the midweek. We will talk on the FA Cup results next week's episode, so make sure you tune in for that one. Hey, from Jackson and I, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you click that subscribe button for the Vendetta Sports Media YouTube channel so you catch this. I do a UFC podcast as well. We have a whole load of other videos and podcasts on the Vendetta Sports Media channel. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next week.